if you go from pre-pandemic 2019 to 2020 to 2021, BOPIS, for example, has gone from, I don't know what it was at, maybe 30 to 40% to over 50% now, right? So it's more than half have now implemented this, right? And the pandemic really spurred a lot of that on. We at Vans turned on BOPIS during the pandemic. That's when we, push came to shove, and it was time to make that investment. Um, right. So it's, coming back to this idea of something becoming commoditized in a basic consumer expectation, it's there, right? So kind of point number one is it's time. If you're still thinking about it, you're late to the game, right? So that's point number one. Um, the other thing to understand is that when we think about the omni-channel journey, and again, omni-channel kind of means a lot of things, but the journey really does kind of start with the core capabilities of buy online, pick up at store, and ship from store. That's kind of like your entry level suite of omni-channel foundation that you implement. And it's so important to do it because just a wealth of organizational learnings come from it. It'll start pointing out things you weren't even thinking about, that, dots that need to be connected to really become a more connected, omni-channel brand or retailer in terms of a single consumer proposition. So it's really important to get that journey started. And then again, BOPIS is kind of your entryway into getting that journey started. So that's kind of reason number two to get into it. Once you're clear that you're getting into it, um, there's a lot of things that need to be considered, right? You're going to need to understand your technology at play, right? The certain technology enablers that are needed, whether we're talking about having that cross-channel view of our inventory, whether we're talking about having a real-time inventory view and also inventory actually, right? You want to be in a decent shape across kind of each of those three areas. And again, that requires, the enabling technology. Then you need to build your processes, right? And you need to have the processes around that, and you need to kind of connect digital e-com processes with in-store human processes and make that all work together, right? And I guess the thing to know there, if you're not already doing it, is that doing that's pretty hard. It's hard to calibrate across two separate divisions that have different leaders and say, hey, this team wants to do this, and that's aligned here, and we're going to make it happen. And it's also just kind of hard to grind out implementing that level of change management across the organization, and particularly when it comes to the field and the store operations, right? This is a change. This is a fundamental shift in behavior of how we think about our stores and our store operations. And there's a lot of work to be done there in terms of from all the way from top level buy-in in terms of how you introduce the concept of omni-channel, all the way down to how you're impacting incentives and reporting and kind of driving that follow-up and engagement and change management with the store. So there's kind of a lot of stuff I said in there in terms of what you need to be thinking about and what goes into it. So feel free to probe deeper, but kind of at a first draft, that's what I'm coming up with.